Isn't that cool? Today we're going to be in week 2 of Seeds and Weeds. It's preaching through Matthew 13. So we're going to be talking about something that started really small and spread until it took over the entire world. So if you want to join with me, we'll be in page 818 in the Black Bibles that we provide, Matthew chapter 13, if you're using your own. So anyone who's worked on cars or anything mechanical might have used this stuff they call anti-seize. And anti-seize is great. It keeps bolts from sticking, it keeps parts from seizing up and stuff. And it's great, but it has a magical quality to it that if you get one little drop on you, you turn into the Tin Man. It will spread and you turn silver in a matter of minutes. It's insane. Kids have this same power. Give a kid a lollipop and everything you own is sticky in minutes. Them, their face, their hands, the car, the dog, the ceiling, everything's sticky. So today we're going to be talking about something that started really small and just kept spreading and spreading and spreading. So last week we talked all about the soil, the seed in the soil. The soil was our heart and how we respond to the gospel. So there was the 4 soils. The hard heart, where Satan steals the truth away, replaces it with a lie immediately. The shallow heart, where you receive it with joy, you spring up, but as soon as you realize that the narrow road that follows Christ isn't the easy road, you die off. And then there's the distracted heart that's good soil. It has good soil to grow this fruit, but the cares of the world, the lies of the money, they come in, they choke out that fruitful. And then there's the fruitful heart that receives it with joy, bears fruit, and expands. So, in Matthew 13, 24 through 30, we're going to be jumping around quite a bit, so keep up. 24 through 30, he put another parable before them, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while his men were sleeping, his enemy came, sowed weeds among the wheat, and went away. So the plants came up and bore grain, then the weeds appeared also. And the servants of the master of the house came and said to him, 'Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have weeds?' He said to them, 'An enemy has done this.' So the servants said to him, 'Then do you want us to go and gather them?' But he said, 'No, lest in gathering the weeds you root up the wheat along with them. Let both grow until the harvest, and at harvest time I will tell the reapers, gather the weeds first and bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat into my barn.'" So anyone who has planted crops or a garden or even tried to keep a nice lawn knows the struggle of weeds. You plant and you water, you fertilize, you prune, you might use pesticides and herbicides and all the stuff, and yet the weeds keep on coming. It's just a never-ending battle. But back in the day, there was no chemicals to keep any of this stuff away. So you had to make a choice. Do you pull the weeds and risk pulling up your crop, or do you leave it alone, wait till the end, pull the weeds, gather them up elsewhere, and then gather the good seed into your barns? But how does this apply to us? How does wheat and weeds explain our eternity? If we jump ahead again to verse 36, Jesus explains this parable. "Then he left the crowds and went into the house, and his disciples came to him, saying, 'Explain to us the parable of the weeds of the field.' And he answered, 'The one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man, and the field is the world, and the good seed is the sons of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the evil one, and the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are angels. Just as the weeds are gathered and burned with fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all causes of sin and lawbreakers, and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears, let him hear." So last week was the dirt. This week is the seed. What does the seed bear? It brings a harvest, and this time we get to be the plants. At the end of the age, the angels are going to come, and they're going to gather the harvest, they're going to gather the wheat, they're going to gather the weeds, and they're going to separate it into two different places. One of the commentaries I read for this talked about two different applications of this meaning. The wheat is the ones who follow Christ. They've given their whole lives unto Jesus and followed with his control. The difference is in the weeds. The one train of thought is that the weeds are the unbelievers, the ones who have denied Christ, who have hardened their hearts against him. The other train of thought is that the weeds are the people that are sitting in church every Sunday and have no fruit. The ones who say, I follow Christ, but their lives look no different. The ones who have given the Lord an hour on Sunday, if they're not too busy, but they haven't given him their lives. Yet they haven't given him their hearts. They have no fruit. Either way you look at it, it should be a very sobering reminder of what our decision means. The way you respond to Jesus is the single most important decision you will make in your life. It doesn't decide how your day is going to go. It decides your forever. It decides from this moment until the eternity. The parable of the net describes the same concept again. If you jump forward again to verse 47. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was thrown into the sea and gathered fish of every kind. When it was full, men drew it ashore and sat down and sorted the good into containers, but threw away the bad. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come out and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. It's the same concept as the wheat and the weeds, but this time it's a different action. We see a net gathering up all of us, every fish, and bringing us to the boat, to the shores. Now, I don't really agree with everything John MacArthur says, but he has a very good quote about this passage. The dragnet of the Father's judgment quietly moves through the sea of humanity, drawing all people to the shores of eternity for separation to their final destinies, believers to heaven and unbelievers to hell. The invisible net of God's judgment affects every person. Every person. We will all be touched by this net. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, you will be collected and you will be brought to the shores of eternity in front of God's throne for judgment. You will be sorted into one of two places. And it's not good and bad. It's not Republican and Democrat. It's not male and female. It's not American and foreigner. It's not even Nebraska versus Iowa. But saved or not. How did you respond to Jesus? Did you build your life on the rock, or did you build it on the sand? That's the sorting process. That's what determines your eternity. And the gospel is the only reason we even get a choice. Jesus coming down, living a perfect, sinless life, and dying a sacrificial death to pay the debt that you could not pay is the only reason that you get this choice. The only reason you can even say no. But what does the gospel mean to you? If we jump backwards to verse 44 now, we can see what it should mean to us and how we should respond. The parable of the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field, which a man found and covered up. Then in his joy he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, who on finding one pearl of great value went and sold all that he had and bought it. So back in ancient Israel, there wasn't banks. There wasn't Wells Fargo. You had all of your money tied up in livestock or property and fields and meadows and pastures, or physical money like gold and silver. But you had to keep it somewhere. So people would hide it in caves and they'd bury it in the ground. They keep it hidden so people can't find it. So if we take just a little bit of creative liberty with this passage. So this guy owns this field. He has all this money. He buries it in the ground. He runs off and dies. So his kids go to sell the field. They don't know that the gold's there. Joe Blow here, he comes out to inspect the field, see if it's good for crops. Is the dirt healthy? Is it good soil? He digs up all the gold. Now he knows, if I buy this field, I'll be richer than I ever was. So he runs off and he sells everything because the field isn't valued with the gold. The field is valued with just the dirt. So he sells everything. He sells his livestock and his houses and his cars and his shoes and his Gucci bag. He sells it all so he can buy this one field because he knows he is immediately richer than he's ever been. Some of us weren't searching for Jesus. We weren't digging for gold. We were digging for dirt, and we found the gold. But as soon as we found Christ, we sold everything, gave up everything to follow him. Imagine you go look at a car on an estate sale. Now, you're looking at this car, you can't really afford it, but you really want this car. So you look in the trunk, and there's a suitcase full of cash. The dead guy's kids don't know that the cash is in the car, so they're selling the car. What would you sell to just go buy this car? Because now it's full of cash. The great pearl is a little bit different, though. This person is searching for something. They are in active looking for something of value. And he finds what he's looking for, so he goes and he sells everything to have that one pearl. Whichever way you find yourself here is good. I was searching when Christ found me. My life didn't look like I wanted it to. It wasn't stacking up the way I thought it should. I was in a pretty low place, and I thought if I could find something to make it better, I'd be set. So I went looking for God. And I found a good father. I found someone who picked me up out of the dirt, gave me salvation through his son. All I had to do was say yes. All I had to do was point my life towards him, give him the control, give him the reins, and go with what he had planned. Now, when he told me what he had planned, I did not like it, and I resisted, and I ran from it for a while. But now, I'm standing here, I live up here, and I'm talking to y'all. None of which I wanted, none of which I saw coming. I had other plans. I had my life planned out. And Jesus said no. So I said yes. Because I realized that if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to follow Christ, I can't say no to the thing that I don't want. It's not submission when you like it. And if you're here looking today, whether you came looking to come face to face with the God of the universe, or you came looking for something else, maybe you're just looking to appease the family that drug you out of bed. Maybe you're here looking for brownie points with the boyfriend or the girlfriend or the husband or the wife. There's Jesus here. He's available to you. He wants you to become part of his kingdom and part of his family. But you have to be willing to give up what your life currently revolves around. Your time, your hobbies, your money, your control. You have to put that in the hands of Jesus and give him the reins. Now, you may not be giving up that thing forever. You may not give it up at all. He may just ask you to bend it to benefit the kingdom. If you like golfing, then maybe your tee time becomes your mission field. If you like playing music, maybe you're up here on stage playing for the worship band. If you like having people at your house and talking, maybe you're starting a small group. If you like meeting new people and shaking hands, there's a spot on that front door for you. Sometimes our lives will look radically different when we decide to follow Jesus. He might tell you to move to a different town or a different state and join a church that needs the skills that you have. Or maybe you just need to be around those people that are over there. Maybe you got to quit your job, start working in ministry. Maybe it's a lot smaller. Maybe you go back to the same job you're working now. Maybe you go back to the same places, but now your mindset's different. You get to know the people around you a little bit better, figure out where their life didn't stack up the way they wanted, and you get to tell them Jesus has an answer for that. Jesus has a way to make this better. Sometimes everything about your life will be different. And sometimes it's you is the only thing that'll be different. But you have to be willing to sell everything to buy that treasure, to buy the pearl, to buy the field. You have to say yes. But I told you we'd talk about something that's small, started small and spreads, like wildfires and glitter. What is it? It's the kingdom of God. So if we jump back again to verse 31, to the parable of the mustard seed and the leaven. He put another parable before them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard seed that a man took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all seeds, but when it is grown, it is larger than all the garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches. He told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven that a woman took and hid in 3 measures of flour till it was all leavened. Small things get overlooked. The little water leak in your basement isn't a big deal until you go to vacation and come back to an indoor pool. The little oil leak on your car isn't a big deal until the engine stops spinning. One guy teaching on a mountainside isn't a big deal until thousands of people are following him and listening to him. A baby born in a barn and whose first bed is a feeding trough is not a big deal until he's the Son of God. That was the start. That was the start of Jesus' kingdom. We just got to celebrate it here just a couple weeks ago. A baby born from a virgin girl grows up and starts a following of 12 men. 13 men in the world is not a big deal. But from that small, simple beginning, the teachings and the words of this one man took over the entire world. You are sitting 7,500 miles away from Jerusalem. That's how far it came just to get to you. In this section, it talks about the leaven. What is leaven? Leaven is described as a substance that causes dough to expand by producing carbon dioxide gas, making it light and fluffy. Could be yeast or baking powder. But it's a small ingredient. When you make biscuits, baking powder is not the biggest ingredient. But it's something small that takes over the entire bowl and changes everything. I used to work for an ethanol plant back home. And we made 500,000-gallon fermenters. And the yeast that we used to make the ethanol was 25 gallons. 25 gallons in 500,000 is 0.005%. It's not a big deal. But it takes over the entire firm. It breaks down all the sugars that are available, and it makes the ethanol. The kingdom started really small inside of you, too. It may have started as a simple prayer. It may have been girlfriend, boyfriend, mom dragging you out of bed. And from there, it started to take over. It spread to you saying grace over dinner with family. Maybe you started talking a little nicer, cursing people less. Started to get up early and read this book. Started to think about people differently. Started to feel bad about things that never used to bother you. Started to ask for guidance in things that you never thought of. Started to give up your time to help other people see this kingdom. Started to give up your money. Started to change your mindset about everything that your life has. Nothing was the same as before. Nothing is the same as before. You look like a completely different person, but it started small. And then it spread to every part of your life. And hopefully it spreads from you to the next person in line too. So it can start small in their life too. But what happens if we say no? What happens if we don't let it spread? What happens if we don't plant the seed, let the tree grow, add the yeast to our recipe? I don't know anything about sourdough other than it tastes good, but if you don't add the starter, I bet it's bad. If we don't add the leaven to our recipe, it doesn't spread. If we aren't brave enough to let the kingdom spread from us, it can't reach the next person. Out in the hallway is a board filled with names that somebody in here is hoping that person is the next person in line, that person is the next person the kingdom spreads to. Some of those names are circled, which means the prayer was answered in some way. But a lot of those names aren't circled yet. The kingdom of heaven is spread through us, and it can't reach the next generation without us. Those names will never be circled if someone doesn't say yes. Imagine if the person in front of you didn't say yes, didn't leaven their lives, didn't plant the seed in your heart. Would you be here now? Would this room exist? If Pastor Mike and Josh said no, would we be where we're at today? I don't know. I don't know if you would have found the pearl in another oyster. I don't know if you would have found the gold buried in another field. But they said yes. And then you said yes. Even if it was a real small yes, just the yes of walking through that front door. But if there wasn't a crew of people out there to say hello to you and make you feel welcomed, would you have come back? If there wasn't a worship team up here to get you ready to hear a message, would you have come back? If there wasn't someone making coffee, would you be awake to hear the message? I don't know. But a whole lot of people said yes, so you could hear the kingdom. You could hear the gospel. Remember that the flour doesn't spread the leaven, though. You can't force this. The leaven spreads through the flour. The leaven takes over. You can't spread the kingdom. You just have to let it spread through you. You have to allow God to do the work that He is doing in your life. Have to say yes. Let the dough rise. Let the tree grow. And take the kingdom to the next person. And that might mean this is the last day your life looks the same. If some of you said yes to total control of Christ, you'd be living in Alaska or Florida in a year. Some of you are going to be in the same exact job you're in. So will you say yes? What's your next step? Do you need to spend some time serving others so they can find the treasure? Do you need to plant some seeds in the people around you? Maybe you just need to add some leaven to your life and let it go to work. Maybe you're sitting here for the first time and realizing that you're going to be sorted into one of two places, and that scares you. Let some things go. Pick up a cross. Follow the one who will save you, the only one who can save you. If this is your first time here and you're searching for a pearl, I hope you found it. If you were here digging for something else, I hope you found the gold. I hope this message hit you to give up everything to follow Christ. The narrow road is really hard, but it is worth it. Jesus walked a very hard road. He came to earth and lowered himself from God of the universe to a servant wiping feet. And before he was arrested, he prayed that it would be different. In Matthew 26, he prays, Father, let this cup pass from me. If there's some other way we can save these people, then let's do that instead. But it's up to you. Your will, not mine. And he was betrayed, and he was arrested, and he was killed. He was crucified for you. And he said that we should do this thing to remember that sacrifice he gave. We should take the bread and the juice and use it as a reminder of what he said yes to. So as you come to the table, remember the sacrifice that was given for you to live that life. Remember that Jesus said yes to death on a cross. And he said that because he wanted you to stand in heaven with him. Here at Connection, it's open communion. No class, no registration. If you believe that Jesus' death counted for you and you want to say yes to him, then you can join us at the table. If this message brought up something you want prayer about, you can pin it on the prayer wall over here. If it's private, you can drop it in the offering boxes with your tithe and offering. There's also going to be a couple people up here next to the stage. They would love to lay hands and pray with you. I'm going to pray for us. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for me to come and speak to these people. I pray that this message would touch even just one of them, even if it was just me that needed the reminder. I pray that that would be done. I pray that your will would be done in all these people. Let your spirit be in this room. Let your spirit be in these people. Pray that this the leaven that's in this room would go out and infect all of this culture, all of Columbus, all of Platte County and the surrounding, all of Nebraska and all of the world. I pray that these people would love you, would say yes to you. Amen. Let's go make heaven crowded. Be the leaven. Come to the table.